have support from all across the world, from Mexico, from Nicaragua, from Honduras, from Colombia, from Peru, from South Africa, from Namibia, everywhere. People are paying attention to what this government is doing. And what they're asking is, what kind of a government do you have there in BC? What kind of a government passes legislation like Bill 22? Just look at Bill 22. It robs us of our right to collectively bargain a new collective agreement. They stack the decks against us, right? So on the other side of the table, there's government, there's PSEC, there's the trustees, and there's the Ministry of Education, all sitting there on the other side of our table. And we have a very stalwart and courageous bargaining team, some of whom are here today, led by the right man in the right place at the right time. Where are you, Jim? There he is right there. Jim Iker, he's the chief negotiator, and you've got to believe it, this is the person you want to have on the other side of the table. We also have, thank you, Jim. Come on up. Honestly, you try to negotiate with this guy. Honestly, I can't even get lunch out of him. There's Kathy Couch from Nelson. He gave BCPC a way out right from the start. What kind of an incentive is that for the government representatives at the table to bargain fairly and reasonably with teachers when their own government minister is saying, don't worry, I'll legislate you. Take care, guys. We tried to play by the rules of their game. They made us an essential service, right? We and the paramedics and fire and ambulance and police, we're an essential service. So we played by the rules of the game, and we had our phase one. Our phase one was probably the best strategic action we took, because it gave us some power in schools, it gave us some authority in schools, it gave us some professionalism in schools, and it caused them a headache, and they just didn't know what to do with phase one. And that put pressure on government, and so they had to find a way out. And what they did was they asked Trevor the fact finder to come in and look at the facts. This is Trevor the fact finder down the hall from, Abbott the fact finder down the hall from, and he went in and he took a couple of days. He said, no, you can't come to a deal. Why can't we come to a deal? We asked for negotiations. We asked for a fair and reasonable settlement over 78 sessions. Finally, we asked, okay, we'll go into mediation. We broke every rule of Bargaining 101. We bargained with ourselves. We significantly pared down our package. After mediation didn't seem to take, we said, well, okay, we'll go to arbitration. Anything. We exhausted every avenue, and nothing. And, having said that, what Minister Abbott did was bring in Bill 22. Bring in Bill 22 to strip us of our bargaining rights. As a fundamental democratic principle, the rule of law is seriously jeopardized when governments play fast and loose with constitutional and international laws, as this government is now doing with Bill 22. If Bill 22 becomes law, the government will demand that teachers respect its provisions, including those making strikes illegal. It will condemn those who defy the act as lawbreakers and punish them with severe fines. In short, the government will demand that the rule of its law be respected, while at the same time its actions dangerously encroach upon the rule of law. Such is their arrogance. Such is their disrespect. In fact, such is their contempt. But the people of BC demand far better. The people of BC demand from their government that it respects the work that teachers do. It demands that the BC government respects and values public education. They expect fair play. They want this dispute to be resolved respectfully with dignity at the table with a fair negotiated deal with teachers. Over 80%, close to 90%, want an arbitrated or a mediated deal, not the mock mediation that's included in 22. But unfortunately, we're not dealing with recent...
22! Kill Bill 22! Kill Bill 22!
You know, governing is about choices. And this government has chosen to pick this fight with teachers, just as they did in 2002, just as they did in 2005, and now they're doing it again. In 2005, I was vice president of the BCTF, and I went to Victoria to talk to teachers there before we voted to take our job action that time. And I said at that time that in 4 years of a Liberal government, we had 6 pieces of legislation against teachers. Now, in not even 11 years, we've had 18 pieces of legislation attacking teachers. I mean, it's just the most appalling thing. But why is that? Because this government has an appalling lack of respect for teachers and for public education. When we met with the Minister of Education, when it was Shirley Bond, when she was Minister of Education, we would meet with her and we would tell her the stories of teachers and talk about the impact of underfunding and class size and composition and the lack of support for students with special needs. And you know what her response was? I remember one occasion when she said, you know, I'm the Minister of Private Education too. So apparently, if you're going to a school that has a tuition of $15,000 or $20,000 and the government throws in another $4,000 for good measure, the minister is worried about you. But she's not worried about the kids from the downtown east side or the poverty areas of the cities of this province who come to our schools hungry, who live in poverty. The 20% of kids in this province who live in poverty apparently don't matter quite as much. And so it was a big news story when Ginny stepped down and I got elected. So there's a scrum, media, reporter sticks a microphone in my face and says, are you going to be as much trouble as Ginny Sims? And I was really tempted to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. And maybe we should live up to that, but I didn't. I said, you know, the BCTF's been around for 90 plus years. Started in 1917, our first strike, 1919. It's not about a single leader, as much as we all love Susan and she's doing a wonderful job. It's about the fact that teachers in this province, and supported by all the other unions for many years now, but teachers in this province has always stood up for education, have always stood up for our kids, and we're going to continue to do that. So we need to be a little trouble for this government. I've learned this now in the BC Fed. All those unions are good at being trouble, so you got lots of support there. So raise